So good morning everyone. This is the basic lecture about the this is static comparators at the rear and the numerical as the relay and the numerical relay. Now static comparators as relays. And now an overcurrent relay, as you know the fact that it compares the magnitude of the current in its current coil with a set value and operates if the current is more than the set value. A directional relay compares the phase angle of the measured quantity with a reference phasor and operates if the phase angle exceeds the predetermined threshold. A simple impedance relay compares the torque generated by the current with the torque generated by the voltage at the relay location and operates if the operating torque is greater than the restraining torque. Now all the relays perform some or other type of comparison. So the heart of any relay is always the comparator. Heart of any relay is always the comparator. It is always the comparator and you can say these comparators were implemented previously using the electromechanical technology. It was implemented using the electromechanical technology, and after that it gives way to solid state relays. Now an alternative strategy to for the comparison is to perform the direct numerical computation. Is to perform the direct numerical computation. Now, in the past, when the electromechanical relays were being widely used, it was not possible to perform the numerical computation in the relay. So comparators helped in avoiding the direct numerical computation. The relays based on the comparators were found to be quite simple and robust, and this gave rise to the technology of protective relay built around the comparators. So now the metaphor for the comparator based relay are so powerful that long after the numerical computation became easily possible in the protective relays, the engineers continued to implement the comparator based relays in their relaying algorithm. The comparator based relays are very attractive because of their inherent simplicity and low cost. However, they suffer from the that is because of the inherent simplicity and the low cost. However, they suffer from the drawback that the fault cannot be precisely located. So, drawback is the fault cannot be precisely located. So, the comparators can be classified into amplitude, which is based on the comparison of amplitude and the comparison of the phase angle. So, amplitude comparison and then the phase angle comparison. So these are two comparators which are used for the relay. Now let us discuss the numerical relay. Now numerical protection. Protective relays, which started out as meters with the contacts, it has undergone a tremendous evolution over the years. They were soon replaced by the electromechanical relays, which were sensitive and accurate when the vacuum tubes were there. So protection engineers implemented relays using the vacuum tubes, and within a year of the invention of the transistor, its use in the protective relays was reported. Now, with the development of large-scale integrated circuits, these were extensively used in the protective relays. The microprocessor that invented in around 1971, the microprocessor that was invented in around 1971. It revolutionized the electronic scene in its and the development of microprocessor relay followed soon after. So microprocessor based relays in 1971. Now, there is a shift takes place when we move on to the microprocessor based relay, which works on the numbers representing the instantaneous value of the signal. So the name numerical relay, other popular nomenclature which was used for this this type of relay is the other popular nomenclatures which were used was the digital relay, computer based relay, and microprocessor based relay. So digital relay, computer based relay, or the microprocessor relay. So you can say that it depends upon the number. This type of relay depends upon the numbers representing the instantaneous value of the signal. So numbers, it depends upon the numbers representing the instantaneous value of the signals. Represent the instantaneous value of the signal. So in numerical relays, if you see, there is an additional entity. Now in this numerical relays, there is an additional entity which is coming into picture, that is the software. So additional entity is the software. Now this which runs in background and which actually runs the relay. Now with the advent of the numerical relays, the emphasis has shifted from hardware to software. So hardware is more or less the same between any two relays. So what distinguishes one numerical relay from the other is the software. Now the conventional non-numerical relays are go-no devices. They perform comparison rather than the straight numerical computation. In fact, the conventional relay cleverly bypasses the problem of computation by performing the comparison. The numerical relay does not have any such limitation because of its ability to perform the real-time computation. Actually this conventional relays, it forms the comparison. It performs the comparison. However, the numerical relay does not have any such limitation because of its ability to perform the real-time computation. So relay engineer need not merely implement the old relaying concepts, but they can devise entirely new computation-based concepts. Now modern numerical relays thus evolved from the torque balancing device to the programmable information processor. So the modern relay comes from the torque balancing device to programmable information processor. So we can implement an existing relaying concept using the numerical technique, and the possibility of developing a new numerical are almost endless, and these are there is a very little standardization. The process of development of a new numerical relay is also shown with the help of the flow chart that we can also discuss with the help of this flow chart. Now from this flow chart, we will have, if you see, state the relaying problem, mathematically modeling the relaying problem, write the algorithm, write the program, that is high level language, test with the simulated data. Now mathematically model the relaying, then run the simulation, test with the simulation data. It is data is coming from this. It is working okay. If no, then we again modify the algorithm. If yes, generate the machine code for the target microprocessor digital signal processor DSP. Download the numerical relay, test with the test inputs, working okay. If no, then in that very case write the program again. This relay test bench is this analog voltages and currents coming from here. If it is working okay, yes, then install in parallel with the existing relay, which is the real-time inputs from CT and PT, they are obtained from here. Then evaluate the performance over 2 to 3 years and relay ready for the commercial launch. So this is actually the development cycle of the new numerical relay. So this is how it can be done. Now let us discuss the block diagram of. Let us discuss this block diagram of this numerical relay. The figure here shows the block diagram of the numerical relay. Now we will have the analog signals from the CT and the PT. The signals from CT and PT cannot be sampled directly and converted to the digital form. And this is to make sure that signal does not contain the frequency component having the frequency greater than half of the sampling frequency, and this limit was enforced by Shannon's sampling theorem. That is, to make sure that signal does not contain the frequency component having a frequency greater than the half of the sampling frequency. As per the Shannon's sampling theorem. Now, the signals are first passed through the low pass filter, which has to be an analog type of filter, because digital processing and one only takes place after the frequency spectrum of the signal is properly shaped. Next, the signal analog signal is sampled and held constant during the time the value is converted to digital form. Now the sample and the hold circuit is absolute must. The range of the frequencies that can be handled without sample and that can be handled by analog to digital converter without the sample and hold circuit is extremely low. Now the sampled and hold value is passed through the analog and digital converter through the multiplexer so as to accommodate the large number of input signals. The sample and hold circuit and this analog to digital converter work under the control of this microprocessor and communicate with it with the help of control signals such as end of conversion signal issued by ADC. Now, the ADC passes on the digital representation of the instantaneous value of the signal to the microprocessor via an output port as shown here. Via an output port, the output of ADC, analog to digital converter, it can be 4, 8, 12, 16 or 32 bit, wide or even wider. The wider the output, the greater is the resolution. Wider the output of this analog to digital converter, greater is the resolution. Now the incoming digital values from ADC, this are actually stored in the RAM of the microprocessor and processed by the relay software in accordance with the relaying algorithm. Microprocessor issues the this trip signal in one of the bits of its output port, which is then suitably processed so that to make it compatible with the this trip coil of the circuit breaker. The microprocessor can also be used to communicate with other relays or other supervisory computer. Now the relaying program or the relay software which resides in the EPROM, can only be upgraded or modified by the this authorized personnel So the new features and functionalities can be added to the existing relay by upgrading it. Now the numerical relay can be made to run a program which periodically performs a self-diagnostic test and issues an alarm signal if any discrepancy is noted in that. Other features like the watchdog timer can also be implemented, which issues an alarm if the microprocessor does not reset it periodically within the stipulated time of a few milliseconds. So this gives an increased user confidence and improves the reliability of the relay. Now for the analysis for the perfect relaying by using for the numerical relaying, we use the different theorems, like we will have to use the sampling theorem, then we have to discuss the correlation with the reference wave, then the Fourier analysis for the analog signals is also required, and for the discrete Fourier transform is also required in that. Then after that we will also, if we want to study, we can study the Walsh analysis and then wavelet analysis. Now the thing with the wavelet analysis is that when we perform the conventional Fourier analysis, we get the information about the frequencies that are present in the signal. However, all the clues about the time at which these frequencies appear are lost. So if we were to perform a Fourier analysis, we would name with confidence all the music instruments which were being played, but not the respective times at which these were played. So conventional Fourier analysis does not preserve any information about time, but gives a very detailed information about the frequency. And the discrete Fourier transform, on the other hand, it preserves some information about the time, since the location of the time window is known. However, the time window size is fixed. So in order to increase the precision of information about the time window needs to be made smaller. However, as we make the time window small, the information about the low frequency loses its precision. So continuous wavelet analysis attempts to remove this lacuna of the Fourier transform and gives information about the frequencies and times at which they appear. And this is achieved by using the family of correlating functions which have well marked attributes of the position and scale. The position attribute is analogous to time domain of Fourier analysis, while the scale attribute is analogous to the frequency domain. And the discrete wavelet analysis we can also do is the discrete implementation of continuous wavelet transform. Wavelet analysis is very useful for analyzing the signals generated by the non-stationary phenomena, whereas the Fourier is suitable for the stationary phenomena. Then we can also use the least square error technique in that. Finally, since filtering also required, so we can also study the low pass filter, then high pass filter, then finite impulse response filters, infinite impulse response filters, and then we can have a small overview of this numerical protection of the transformer. So as an example, if you see that this is the numerical protection of the this is a conceptual block diagram and numerical protection of the this transformer. So the idea is to estimate the phasor value of the current on both the side of the transformer. The main idea is to find the phasor value of the current on both the sides of transformer and find the phasor difference between the two sides. Phasor difference between this and this. So if the magnitude of this difference is substantial, then the internal fault is indicated and the trip signal should be issued. The above is the description of a simple differential scheme, and all the reasons that prompt us to go to the percentage differential relay exist here. So the numerical relay algorithm should be made to implement the percentage differential relay as shown here. So what is the main algorithm for that type of for this relay? It is that now first of all, what the relay will read, it will first read the percentage bias and minimum pickup. It will read percentage bias and minimum pickup, that is I per unit, and that IPU. Then it will read the IP sample, that is estimate the phasor IP using any technique. Read IP samples, that is this one, that is it will estimate the IP phasor IP using any technique. Then the third part is it will read IS samples. Now fourth, it will compute the spill current. And the spill current in this case is IP minus IS. Then it will compute the circulating current, that is let it be IC. So the circulating current is IP plus IS divided by 2. And if this spill current is greater than BI circulating current plus IPU, then it will trip, else it will restrain. Then it will trip, else it will restrain, and B in this case is the percentage bias. So this is how this numerical relay can implement it by this algorithm. So this is how the numerical relay is very nowadays it is very easy type of relay. You can if you have the algorithm in mind, you can definitely implement it and use it. So this is about this chapter. So thank you very much for this lecture. Thanks.